Good afternoon, one and all. We welcome you all to the international conference. Good afternoon, one and all. We welcome you all to the international conference or January. Diet, thyroid, nutrition, mentoring, slavery, trafficking, poverty, braille literacy, health, well-being, and sustainable development 2023, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 75 years of independence, and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 as part of awareness and campaigns and international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development 2022 to 2023. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
Kurutvam kalyanam arogyam dhanasampadah Shubham kurutvam kalyanam arogyam dhanasampadah Shatru buddhi vinashaya Deepajyotirnamostute Deepajyotirnamostute Shubham kurutvam kalyanam arogyam dhanasampadah Shubham kurutvam kalyanam arogyam dhanasampadah.
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's session. As we know, we are organizing international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav celebrations every day from 6 to 8. And as per request of many research scholars and other students from across the country, so we have been organizing conferences also where they can utilize the benefit of presentations. And this would be the last conference because we see that colleges and universities have opened, and a lot of conferences are also happening. At the time of pandemic, there was very little conference and opportunities were very less. Research scholars and everyone were looking for opportunities for their presentations. So for that reason, and based on request, so we thought we would have few sessions on various commemorations and topics on Sundays. But now that, universities we all have gone to normalcy, and now things are opened up and we also are becoming busy every day with all academic activities and professional activities. So we thought now, anyway, as offline and online conferences are also happening, so we thought we'll move on to offline conferences. So to get more engaged in offline activities, we are stopping this Sunday daytime conference, and instead of that, we'll be having this evening a regular 6 to 8 session. So we were not having that 6 to 8 session on Sundays. Instead of that, we were having these conferences instead of webinar as part of webinar series. So from this would be the last Sunday for presentations. So now any presentations, if any, on special occasions, we'll continue to organize any special conference or seminar workshop. But Sundays morning time, we will not be having any conference. This would be the last conference. And as usual, Sunday, we will continue on every day. Every day, we will continue 6 to 8 sessions as usual, including Sundays. On special occasions, as usual, whenever there is a special occasion, special commemoration, we will be organizing, and that we will be updating on our platforms, in our Telegram channel, and show Facebook group, WhatsApp groups, and everywhere. So we request everyone who have not yet joined, this Telegram channel, WhatsApp group, or Facebook group, kindly join us and like and follow. So that it will be beneficial for you. So if we happen to miss anyone, so if you subscribe and like or notify, you will be getting automatically notification when we post there. So it will be benefit for you, for your better interest. So whoever is interested in updates, we invite them and welcome them to all to follow our social media pages and groups, and also WhatsApp, Telegram channels. And we have shared the registration link in the chat box for this conference. So whoever has not registered but joined directly, we request everyone to register. And so we will take up 2 sessions initially. Then we'll move on to other commemorations and few more sessions. So this week we have celebrated Makara Sankranti. So we had various sessions related to animal welfare, and especially this month is also dedicated to vegetarian month. That's why it's a combination of word vegetarian, veg, and January. So January is a month dedicated to exclusively for promotion of vegetarian diet. And now across the world, people are moving towards vegetarian diet because of lot of ill effects on health by consumption of non-vegetarian diet and meat products. And we have this international commemoration. And various national days related to, recently we celebrated World Braille Day, and also we have looked upon various weeks like Road Safety Week, Snowball Safety Week, and Snow Games Safety Week. And also we have looked up various national commemorations related to slavery, trafficking, poverty, and based on the commemorations, we have seen various aspects of commemorations in this. So initially we'll take up the sessions and we will then go on to various commemorations today. So we have with us Virendra Kumar M. Thakurji. He would be presenting on Cattle Trespass Act 1871. Virendra Kumarji, he is Virendra Kumar M. Thakurji. He is assistant professor and also an advocate, RTA resource person from Computer Science Engineering Department, Govind Ballapant Institute of Engineering and Technology, Uttarakhand. And he is a regular resource person contributor on our series on various legal aspects. We welcome you, sir, to the international conference. You can unmute yourself, start your video and presentation.
Hello. Hello. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I will make my two cameras are on, so we'll change it to one only. Yes. I hope now it's better. Okay. So I'll start my presentation. This is on Cattle Trespass Act. I'm opening my presentation and I will make it shareable also. Last week, we should discuss about various animal rights and for animal protection. Related to that, there is one very important act of British Parliament. It is applicable on India since 1871. It's a type of minor criminal law. I will make my presentation shareable now. This is a type of minor criminal law and it's applicable to all type of cattle. Cattle means not only the say cows or bull, but all many other types of domestic animals are also included within the definition. I hope now my presentation is shareable, sir.
It's loading, sir.
It will load after a network delay of 5 to 10 seconds. I think it should be visible to all.
Now it's visible, sir.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, sir. So it's called Cattle Trespass Act. It's a small act, 30 sections. As far as the farmers in India are concerned, so often it happens that say domestic animals go into the fields of other and they destroy the crop agriculture of we can say property belonging to other people. In such cases, the animals can't be killed. There is a provision that they should be caught and then the fine should be recovered from the owner of that cattle. So let us see what are the detailed provisions related to that. All the district magistrates or the collectors implement this act. And there is also a provision that all the animals that are caught uh, doing the trespass, so they are kept in such places, and the arrangement is made for feeding them, or for they are looked after, and for that the cost is recovered after the owner is found. So for that, this is a simple type of act. So let us see the structure of this. There is preamble, then uh, chapter 1 is preliminary. It includes uh, second section is repealed, so we have only section 1 and the section 3. Then we have chapter 2. It's about pounds and pound keepers. So establishment of pounds, control of pounded cattle. So a provision is made for because these animals can't be imprisoned, but they are kept in pounds and they are looked after. So appointment of pound keepers. Then pound keepers may hold other offices, and pound keepers should be public servants. Then the duties of pound keepers, that is to keep registers and furnish returns whenever such animals are found. Then to register seizures of animals. Then to take charge of and feed cattle. Then chapter 3, this is about the process of impounding cattle. So cattle damaging land, police to aid seizures, then cattle damaging public roads, canals and embankments, then fines for cattle impounded, and list of fines and charges for feeding the cattle. Then we come to chapter 4. This is for delivery or sale of cattle where it is not claimed. Also, when the owner is found, or if the owner is not found, so what type of process shall be followed? So procedure: when owner claims the cattle and pays fines and charges. The procedure: if cattle be not claimed within a week, then delivery to owner disputing legality of seizure but making deposit. And procedure: when owner returns or omits to pay the fines and expenses, delivery of unsold cattle and balance of payments and receipt. Section 17 is about disposal of fines, expenses and surplus proceeds of sale. Section 18 has been repealed. Section 19 is officers and pound keepers not to purchase cattle or at sales under Act, and pound keepers when not to release impounded cattle. Then we have chapter 5. Chapter 5 is related to complaints of illegal seizure or detention of animals. So power to make complaint, procedure on complaint, and compensation for illegal seizure or detention and release of cattle and recovery of compensation. Then we have chapter 6, that is the penalties. So it's a type of minor criminal law. So penalty for forcibly opposing the seizure of cattle or rescuing the same. Recovery of penalty for mischief committed by causing cattle to trespass. Penalty for damage caused to land or crops or public roads by pigs. And penalty or pound keeper failing to perform duties, and application of fines recovered under sections 25, 26 or 27. And lastly, we have chapter 7, that is suits for compensation, that is saving of right to sue for compensation and set off. And in chapter 8, there is only one section, the schedule is repeated. Supplemental is the power for state government to transfer certain functions to local authority. Now, as far as the domestic animals are concerned, so the state government also has the powers to amend the act, and therefore some states have amended this also, particularly the Maharashtra government. We shall not go into the state amendments because that would make this presentation very long. So we shall just see the central act that is applicable all over India, which is common to all. So it is called the Cattle Trespass Act 1871, and it is the first act of 1871, started from 3rd January 1871. It is an act to consolidate and amend the law relating to trespasses of cattle. So this act has been amended locally in Ajmer by Ajmer Act of 1954, and in Assam by Assam Act of 1936, in Bombay by Bombay Acts of 1924, 1926, 1931, and then 1959. Then in Madhya Pradesh by CP, that is Central Provinces. Earlier it was called Central Provinces and Berar. Berar is actually Vidarbha. So Central Provinces became Madhya Pradesh, and the United Provinces became the Uttar Pradesh after independence. So this is Central Provinces, of which Nagpur was the capital at that time. Of 1935, 1937, then Nagpur came into Maharashtra. So CP and Berar Act of 1948 and Madhya Pradesh Act of 1960. Then in Orissa, again there is a state act. So in Orissa, I hope my camera is all right. So in Orissa, There is Act of 1948 and of 1950. Then we have in Punjab by Punjab Act of 1952 and 1959. In Sambalpur district by Odisha Act of 1939, and in UP by UP Act of 1954. In West Bengal by West Bengal Act of 1934, and repeat in part by Bengal Act of 1947, and then Act 7 of 1948 and 4 of 1956. In Madras, earlier it was only Madras, then it was divided into 4 different states. So there was no Andhra Pradesh at that time. It was just Madras presidency, and that was divided into 4 states, which we call as now say Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, and say Pondicherry is the union territory, and now we have Telangana also. So Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, and Andhra Pradesh plus Telangana and Pondicherry. Now we have 5 states and 1 union territory. So Madras Act of 1957, then Andhra Pradesh by Andhra Pradesh Act of 1961, and in Himachal Pradesh by Himachal Pradesh Act of 1974. So these are the state amendments. We shall not enter into section-wise amendments. The act has been extended to the whole of Madhya Pradesh by Madhya Pradesh Act of 1958 when notified. In NEFA, earlier now it has become Arunachal Pradesh, Northeast Frontier autonomous region. So now we have Arunachal Pradesh, and subject to certain modifications extended to and brought into force in Dadra and Nagar Haveli and the first schedule, and to the whole of the Union Territory of Lakshadweep in 1965. Then the act came into force in Pondicherry, so when it merged into India, so in 1963, and the act has been repealed in its application to Bellary district by Mysore Act of 1955 and to Malabar district of Kerala by Kerala Act of 1961. So these are some of the state amendments relevant to this central act. Now let us see this act. This act may be called the Cattle Trespass Act 1871, and it extends to the whole of India except the territories which immediately before the 1st November 1956, that is before the first Reorganization Commission of India came into effect, were comprised in Part B states. So as we know, there were earlier Part A, Part B, Part C, Part D states. Now we have only states and the union territories. And the presidency towns, there were only 3 presidencies, that is Bombay, Madras, and Kolkata. Delhi was not a presidency. It became capital of India in 1911. In presidency towns and such local areas as the state government by notification in the official gazette may from time to time exclude from its operation. So this title and extent was substituted in 1891. Then there was ALO, Adaptation Laws Order of 1956, when this first Reorganization Commission came into effect. So changes were made in many laws. So that made amendments in this act also, and then some subsection 3 is repealed by Act 10 of 1914 and the second schedule of that act. So this was section 1. Now we come to section 2. This has been repealed in 1938. That is a repeal of acts, references to repealed acts. So just to clean up the clutter, the old acts that were repealed, so the reference to those old repealed acts are also removed from the books of legislature. So this act repeals certain old acts which are not relevant because this already is a very old act of 1871, and therefore the older references are removed because they are no longer necessary. Now we come to the definitions. Definition particularly of cattle is very important. So let us see the definition. In this act, officer of police includes the village watchman, what we call as home guards, etc. So village watchman is also included. This definition of cattle is very important. It includes many domestic animals. So it includes also elephants, camels, buffaloes, horses, mares, geldings, ponies, colts, fillies, mules, asses, pigs, rams, ewes, sheep, lambs, goats, and kids. So these are all the cattle that are included within the definition of cattle. So it is not only cows and buffaloes, but all these are the wild animals that are included. All the domestic animals. Then the local authority. So local authority means any body of persons for the time being invested by law with the control and administration of any matters within a specified local area. That could be, say, Gram Panchayat, Gram Sabha, village, what we call village Panchayat, or maybe Kshetra Panchayat, Jila Panchayat, or even, other authorities that are there. So these are all included within the definition. And then there is local fund. So local fund means any fund under the control or management of a local authority, that is at their dispensation. So this is local fund. These are the definitions within this act. Then we come to chapter 2, that is the pounds and pound keepers. That is where the animals seized are kept. So there is establishment of pounds. It is the responsibility of the district magistrate. So pounds shall be established at such places as the magistrate of the district, subject to the general control of the state government from time to time direct. The village by which every pound is to be used shall be determined by the magistrate of the district. So this establishment of pounds is the subject matter, say, entrusted to the district magistrates or the collectors. Then the control of pounds and rates of charge for feeding impounded cattle. So the pound shall be under the control of the magistrate of the district, and he shall fix and may from time to time alter the rates of charge for feeding and watering impounded cattle. So whenever the cattle are seized, so there needs to be arrangement for feeding and for providing drinking water to them. So this is then recovered from the owner of the cattle after the owner discards the cattle or the owner is found. So this is the arrangement that is to be made in such pounds. Then the appointment of pound keepers. And pound keepers may hold other offices, and pound keepers to be public servants. So the state government shall appoint a pound keeper for every pound, and any pound keeper may hold simultaneously any other office under the government, because this is not a full-time job for them. So they will look after the pounds, and simultaneously they can do some other job also. And every pound keeper shall be deemed to be a public servant within the meaning of the Indian Penal Code. That means under section 21 of that act, and that means they can be prosecuted for corruption, etc. So that is the meaning. And this is Section 6 is substituted by the adaptation of Laws Order 1937. So this ALO was passed after the Government of India at 1935 came into effect, and that was that there was state government that was elected in 9 states, 9 big states in India, and the central government was British. And this arrangement, that is state government of Indians and central government by British, went on for around 12 years. And after 1947, the central government was also Indian and the state government was also Indian. So when this ALO, or the adaptation of Laws Order 1937, says that whatever are the laws made by the British Parliament, they shall remain applicable to India until the elected state governments expressly modify or repeal those acts, so that the situation of anarchy or the lawlessness does not result. So this was the adaptation order 1937. Now the duties of pound keepers are given. So to keep registers and furnish returns. So every pound keeper shall keep such registers and furnish such returns as the state government from time to time direct. So this is the duty to keep register. That is whenever the animals are impounded. So from which date to which date, description of the animal, and these details are made in the register. And state government shall prescribe the registers. That is what shall be the columns in those registers. Now to register seizures. So when cattle are brought to a pound, the pound keeper shall enter in his register the number and description of the animals, the day and hour on and at which they were so brought, the name and residence of the seizer, and the name and residence of the owner, if known. So whenever it is known, and shall give the seizer or his agent a copy of his entry, of the entry. So whenever this say animal is brought, the entry will be made, and the copy of that page will be given to the person who brings that animal. Section 9 is to take charge of and feed cattle. That is, after the animal is brought to the pound, then care has to be taken of that animal. So the pound keeper shall take charge of feed and water the cattle until they are disposed of as hereinafter directed. And the procedure of disposal is then described in subsequent sections. Now we come to chapter 3, that is impounding cattle. So first is, if cattle is found damaging land or say crops, so the cultivator or occupier of any land or any person who has advanced cash for the cultivation of the crop or produce on any land, or the vendee or mortgagee of such crop or produce or any part thereof, may seize or cause to be seized any cattle trespassing on such land and doing damage thereto, or to any crop or produce thereon, and send them or cause them to be sent within 24 hours to the pound established for the village in which the land is situated. So just as there are provisions that person arrested can't be kept beyond 24 hours by the police. Similarly, in case of animals also, whenever the cattle are impounded, so within 24 hours they have to be deposited with the pound. And whenever they are found, say, damaging some crops, etc. So at that time, because they can't be imprisoned, they can't be killed, so they have to be deposited with the pound, and the pound keeper shall then take care of them. Then police to aid seizures. So all officers of police shall, when required, aid in preventing resistance to such seizures and rescues from persons making such seizures. That means they will help in, say, seizing those animals who are damaging the crop. Then cattle damaging public roads, canals, and embankments. Section 11. So cattle, say, persons in charge of public roads, pleasure ponds, plantations, pleasure grounds, plantations, canals, drainage works, embankments, and the like, and the officers of police may seize or cause to be seized any cattle doing damage to such roads, grounds, plantations, canals, drainage works, embankments, and the like, or the sides of slopes of such roads, canals, drainage works, or embankments, are found staying thereon. So whenever such domestic or stray animals are found, so they can be, say, seized and shall send them or cause them to be sent within 24 hours to the nearest pound. For wildlife also, of course, we have Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. As far as the domestic animals are concerned, so this Cattle Trespass Act is still applicable of 1871. So as to the application of Section 11 to forests, see the Indian Forest Act 1927, and to railways, the Indian Railways Act 1890. Now we have got a new Railways Act, that is of 1989. But earlier there was old act, and in 1891 this word, that is take them without unnecessary delay, so that has been replaced by send them or cause them to be sent within 24 hours. So 24 hours is the time limit that is given in the act. Now the fines for cattle impounded. For every head of cattle impounded as aforesaid, the groundkeepers shall levy a fine in accordance with the scale for the time being prescribed by the state government in this behalf by notification in the official gazette. So different state governments have prescribed different scales, and different scales may be prescribed for different local areas. All fines so levied shall be sent to the magistrate of the district through such officer as the state government may direct. So DM will order these fines to be levied as per the procedure made by the state government. The list of fines and charges for feeding. So a list of the fines and of the rates of charge for feeding, that is per day, and watering cattle shall be posted in a conspicuous place on or near to every pound. So in 1921, this change was made, and see Section 71 of the Indian Forest Act 1927, under which the state government may, for a different scale of fine for cattle imported under Section 70 of that Act, that is the Forest Act of 1927. Now we come to Chapter 4, that is delivery or sale of cattle. So procedure when owner claims the cattle and pays fines and charges. So if the owner of the impounded cattle or his agent appear and claim the cattle, the pound keeper shall deliver them to him on payment of the fines and charges incurred in respect of such cattle. That is, there will be a fine plus the feeding charges for whatever days the cattle remains in the pound. The owner or his agent, on taking back the cattle, shall sign a receipt for them in the register kept by the pound keeper. That receipt to the effect that they have received the animal back. And procedure if cattle is be not claimed within a week, because maximum limit here prescribed is 1 week. So if the cattle be not claimed within 7 days from the date of their being impounded, the pound keeper shall report the fact to the officer in charge of the nearest police station, or to such other officer as the magistrate or the district of the district appoints in this behalf. Such officer shall thereupon stick up in a conspicuous part of his office a notice stating the number and description of the cattle and the place where they were seized. That is, the notice will be published for general information of the public, that such that the owner may read that notice and may found that these animals are there in the pound and may come and say stake his claim. So the place where they are impounded and shall cause proclamation of the same to be made by beat or drum in the village. The very old act of 1871. So there is beat of drum and at the marketplace nearest to the place of seizure. If the cattle be not claimed within 7 days from the date of the the notice, they shall be sold by public auction by the said officer or an officer of his establishment deputed for that purpose at such place and time and subject to such conditions as the magistrate of the district by general or special order from time to time directs, provided that if any such cattle are, in the opinion of the magistrate of the district, not likely to fetch a fair price if sold as aforesaid, they may be disposed of in such manner as he thinks fit. So after 7 days, the cattle may be sold. Section 15 is delivery to owner disputing legality of seizure but making deposit. So if the owner or his agent appear and refuse to pay the said fines and expenses on the ground that the seizure was illegal and that the owner is about to make a complaint under section 20. So under section 20, they may make the complaint. Then upon deposit of the fines and charges incurred in respect of the cattle, that is the feeding and watering charges, the cattle shall be delivered to him. So cattle shall be delivered and then the dispute will take place under section 20. They may file complaint. Section 16 is about the procedure when owner refuses or omits to pay the fines and expenses. So if the owner or his agent appear and refuse or omit to pay, or in the case mentioned in section 15 to deposit the said fines and expenses, the cattle or as many of them as may be necessary shall be sold by public auction by such officer at such place and time and subject to such conditions as are referred to in section 14. That is, if the owner refuses, then the cattle may be sold. Then deduction of fines and expenses. The fines leviable and the expenses of feeding and watering together with the expenses of sale, if any, shall be deducted from the proceeds of the sale. The delivery of unsold cattle and balance of proceeds. So the remaining cattle and the balance of the purchase money, if any, shall be delivered to the owner or his agent together with an amount showing the number of cattle seized, the time during which they have been impounded, the amount of fines and charges incurred, the number of cattle sold, the proceeds of sale, and the manner in which these proceeds have been disposed of. And then the receipts. So the owner or his agent shall give a receipt for the cattle delivered to him and the balance of the purchase money, if any, paid to him according to such amount. So this is the procedure when there is say a refusal by the owner to pay fine and expenses. Now the 17 is where the cattle is sold. So in cases how the fine will be disposed. So disposal of fines, expenses and surplus proceeds of sales. So the officer by whom the sale was made shall send to the magistrate of the district the fines so deducted, the charges for feeding and watering deducted under section 16 shall be paid over to the pound keeper, who shall also retain and appropriate all sums received by him on account of such charges under section 13, because these are the actual expenses incurred by him. The surplus unclaimed proceeds of the sale of cattle shall be sent to the magistrate of the district, who shall hold them in deposit for 3 months, and if no claim thereto be preferred and established within that period, shall at its expiry be deemed to hold them as part of the revenues of the state. So this proceeds shall be kept for up to 3 months and then it will be deposited in the treasury as state money. So in adaptation of law order 1937, earlier it was disposed of them as herein after provided. These words were replaced by these provisions. That is, be deemed to hold them as part of the revenue of the state. Then there was section 18. So application of fines and unclaimed proceeds of sale. So this has been repealed by the adaptation of law order 1937. Section 19 is officers and pound keepers not to purchase cattle at sales under Act. So no officer of police or other officer or pound keeper appointed under the provisions herein after content shall directly or indirectly purchase any cattle as sale under this Act. So they can't proceed in this auction, they can't participate in the action proceedings as a buyer, or they can't bid for it. Then pound keepers are not to release impounded cattle. So no pound keeper shall release or deliver any impounded cattle otherwise than in accordance with the former part of this chapter, unless such release or delivery is ordered by magistrate or civil court. So it could be either by criminal judge or by civil court. So only when the delivery is ordered by magistrate or civil court, then they allow. Otherwise, they can't dispose of except in manner provided in this Act. Now we come to chapter 5. That is complaint of illegal seizure or detention. So there is power to make complaints. The person whose cattle have been seized under this Act or having been so seized have been detained in contravention of this Act may at any time within 10 days from the date of the seizure make a complaint to the magistrate of the district or any magistrate authorized to receive and try charges without reference by the magistrate of the district. So they will be, these complaints will be made to the district magistrate, that is the executive magistrate. He is not judicial magistrate. So these complaints are made to the DM. Then the procedure on complaint. So the complaint shall be made by the complainant in person or by an agent personally acquainted with the circumstances. It may be either in writing or verbal. And if it be verbal, the substance of it shall be taken down in writing by the magistrate. And if the magistrate, on examining the complainant or his agent, sees reason to believe the complaint to be well founded, he shall summon the person complained against and make an inquiry into the case. So whenever the complaint is found, so there is provision of inquiry into that. Then 22nd is compensation for illegal seizure or detention. So if the seizure or detention be adjudged illegal, the magistrate shall award to the complainant for the loss caused to by the seizure or detention reasonable compensation not exceeding 100 rupees. These were the rates of 1871. To be paid by the person who made the seizure or detained the cattle, together with all fines paid and expenses incurred by the complainant in procuring the release of the cattle. And release of cattle, and if the cattle have not been released, the magistrate shall, besides awarding such compensation, order their release and direct that the fines and expenses leviable under this act shall be paid by the person who made the seizure or detained the cattle. So if it is say illegal detention is made, then the person detaining that may be made to say compensate for that. The provisions have been amended by various state governments, particularly some amendments have been made by government of Maharashtra. So different state governments have amended differently some sections of this. The recovery of compensation. So the compensation, fines and expenses mentioned in section 22 may be recovered as if they were fines imposed by the magistrate. And that procedure is given in the General Clauses Act. So section 63 to 70 of the Indian Penal Code and section 421 of the Code of Criminal Procedure and also section 25 of the General Clauses Act 1897. So that procedure is given there of recovery of compensation, like in case of fines. Then we come to chapter 6, that is penalty. So penalty for forcibly opposing the seizure of cattle or rescuing the same. So whoever forcibly opposes the seizure of cattle liable to be seized under this act, and whoever rescues the same after seizure, either from a pound or from any person taking or about to take them to a pound, such person being near at hand and acting under the powers conferred by this act shall, on conviction before a magistrate, be punished with imprisonment for a period not exceeding 6 months, or with say amount with fine not exceeding 500 rupees, or with both. Now this is a type of minor criminal law because if somebody opposes the seizure of cattle or rescuing the cattle, then there is penalty of 6 months imprisonment of 6 months plus 500 rupees fine. So these are there. Then we come to section 25, that is recovery of penalty for mischief committed by causing cattle to trespass. For mischief, we already have section 425 in IPC. Mischief is a type of offense in which there is no gain to any person, but there is loss to some other person. That is called a mischief. For example, in theft, there is a gain, but in case of mischief, there is no gain to any person. There is only loss to some person. That is mischief. So any fine imposed under the next following section or for the offense of mischief by causing, say, cattle to trespass on any land may be recovered by sale of all or any of the cattle by which the trespass was committed, whether they were seized in the act of trespassing or not, and whether they are the property of the person convicted of the offense or were only in his charge when the trespass was committed. So in such cases, the recovery can be made from the person. So as to the application of section 25 in case of cattle trespassing on a railway, this is the Indian Railways Act 1890. It should be 1890. Now it is replaced by Act of 1989. And this change was said, the second is inserted by under the next following section, or this was included in the 1891 to an amendment. Then we come to section 26. So penalty for damage caused to land or crops or public roads by pigs. So any owner or keeper of pigs is also, they also come within the definition of cattle here. So any owner or keeper of pigs who through neglect or otherwise damages or causes or permits to be damaged any land or any crop or say produce of land or any public road by allowing such pigs to trespass thereon shall, on conviction before a magistrate, be punished with fine not exceeding 10 rupees. See, it was just 10 rupees. That was in 1871, when the fine under IPC was also 510 was 10 rupees. the state government, by notification in the official gazette, may from time to time, with respect to any local area specified in the notification, direct that the foregoing portion of this section shall be read as if it had reference to cattle generally or to cattle of a kind described in the notification instead of to pigs only, or as if the words 50 rupees were substituted for the words 10 rupees, or as if there were both such reference and such substitution. So the state government may include other animals, and fine could be raised up to 50 rupees. So as to this application of section 25 in case of cattle trespassing on a railway, see the Indian Railways Act. So that is Act of 1890. Now it is replaced by 1989 Act. Then penalty on pound keeper failing to perform duties. So any pound keeper releasing or purchasing or delivering cattle contrary to the provisions of section 19, or omitting to provide any impounded cattle with sufficient food and water, that is if there is negligence on his part, or failing to perform any of the other duties imposed upon him by this act, shall, over and above any other penalty to which he may be liable, be punished on conviction before a magistrate with fine not exceeding 50 rupees. Such fines may be recovered by deductions from the pound keeper's salary. So there is a fine up to 50 rupees under this act to the pound keeper. Then we come to section 28. So application of fines recovered under section 25, 26 or 27. So all fines recovered under section 25 or section 26 or section 27 may be appropriated in whole or in part as compensation for loss or damage proved to the satisfaction of the convicting magistrate. So since it is a minor criminal law, so trial goes on before the say magistrate. And since the amount is small, so it will go for summary trial generally. That is chapter say 21 of the CRPC will apply in such cases. Then we come to chapter 7, that is suits for compensation. So saving of right to sue for compensation. So nothing here in content prohibits any person whose crops of or other produce of land have been damaged by trespass of cattle from suing for compensation in any competent court. That means both the remedies are available, criminal as well as civil. So the criminal remedy is provided under the Cattle Trespass Act, and for civil remedy, you may go to say ordinary civil court. And then set off. Set off means plus minus. That is, whenever one party claims something from another party, the another party may claim something or ask to be deducted his claim from other party. So this plus minus is done in civil cases. That is called set off. So any compensation paid to such person under this act by order of the convicting magistrate shall be set off and deducted from any sum claimed by or awarded to him as compensation in such suit. So if there is already compensation say under this Cattle Trespass Act, then this amount shall be deducted from that compensation awarded under the civil suit. So this is the procedure of subtraction, that is setting off the amount claimed under one act from the proceeding under ordinary civil cases. And then we come to the last chapter, the last section of this act. So chapter 8 is supplemental. So power for state government to transfer certain functions to local authority. So the state government may from time to time, by notification in the official gazette, transfer to any local authority within any part of the territories under its administration in which this act is in operation, all or any of the functions of the state government or the magistrate of the district under this act within the local area, subject to the jurisdiction of the local authority. So state government has power to transfer this from say second tier, that is from state government to the local authority, and even from DM the powers can be say transferred to the say local authority. And clause B here is repealed partially by Act of 1914 and then partially by the remaining part has been omitted by the adaptation of Laws Order 1937. So that ends this. Lastly, there was a schedule, and this schedule has been repealed by the Repealing Act of 1938. So that concludes this presentation. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to make this presentation. If there are any questions related to this, so I would be glad to answer them.
Yeah, thank you, Virendra Kumarji, for the insightful session. Participants, if you have any queries, you can raise your hand or you can unmute yourself or use chat box to share your feedback. If there are no further queries, you can fill the feedback form.
Yes, so I'm stopping sharing of the screen.
So hope there are no further queries. Thank you, Virendra Kumarji, for joining us on this international conference and sharing your valuable insights and presentation. Wish you all the success in future endeavors and look forward for more sessions in future. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thanks to Dr. Ravindra and thanks to Shri Holistic Health Foundation India and Shri Research Institute and Center for Arts, Science and Wellbeing for giving me this opportunity to make the presentation. Thanks to all the participants also. Thank you.
Dear participants, feedback form has been raised in the form of polls. We request everyone to fill the feedback form. It is mandatory for all the participants. Quickly fill up the feedback form. We have 5 minutes for the feedback form. And after that, we will close the feedback form and move on to our next session by Dr. Jyoti Makkar. Dear friends, everyone quickly fill up the feedback form. It is mandatory for generation of certificate. It is through this feedback form. We collect data for preparation of certificates. We request everyone to quickly attend to the feedback form. We'll be starting our next session in 2 minutes. There will be no external link that is available for the feedback. Feedback will be taken only in the Zoom platform in the form of polls. So we request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form. Feedback form once closed cannot be opened up again. So we request all the participants to quickly fill up the feedback form. The more we delay, the sessions will get prolonged. Then we are moving to our next session for the day. Those who have not filled the feedback form can fill the next session feedback form. We are going to close the feedback form for session 1. Next, we have with us Dr. Jyoti Makkar. She is a dentist and also a counselor from New Delhi. She would be presenting on self-esteem. We welcome you, Dr. Jyoti Makkar. You can unmute yourself. You can start your video. And start your presentation.
Very good afternoon to all. Before initiating my session, I would like to say thanks to the Almighty who granted me this opportunity. Thanks to the organization through whom the Almighty granted this opportunity, and also to the participants. My topic of presentation today is self-esteem. So, what basically is self-esteem? Self-esteem is self-concept or self-perception. How we think about ourselves, what we speak to ourselves, how we behave with ourselves, how we treat ourselves. So we don't need others' approval to think right about ourselves, to respect ourselves, to value ourselves, to appreciate ourselves. We don't need anyone else's approval. So self-esteem, according to American Psychiatric Association, is defined as degree of how an individual perceives his or her self-concept, as the qualities the person possesses, the characteristics a person possesses, the degree to which a person perceives that as positive. That is the American Psychiatric Association definition of self-esteem. Now, self-esteem is of basically 4 types. It could be low self-esteem, it could be high self-esteem, competence-based self-esteem, and worthiness-based self-esteem. So what is low self-esteem? And there are various scales also to measure self-esteem, which we will discuss later. So what low self-esteem is, the person is self-critical, the person is self-judgmental, the person does not like himself or herself and wants to be the other person. He's not happy, contented with himself, does not value himself or herself, does not take out a me time for himself or herself, always pleasing people and always seeking others' approval. To love yourself, respect yourself, value yourself, appreciate yourself. He wants others' approval for that. Now, self-esteem, it's not dependent on others' approval. It's not dependent on circumstances also, a good self-esteem. It's not that when everything is going to go good and good in your life, you will respect yourself and you will have a good self-concept, and if everything goes bad and bad in your life, you will have low self-concept. No, that's not the case. So, low self-esteem. Low self-esteem person I discussed is self-critical, self-judgmental, criticizes oneself very much, does not like oneself, does not respect oneself, does not consider oneself valuable part of the society, is not happy with oneself, and is not able to see the one's achievements and good things inside oneself, but is able to see only the flaws within oneself. And in low self-esteem, the person, if someone appreciates the person for some bright side of that person, the person is not able to appreciate that compliment which the other person has given him or her, and he is only focusing on the negatives, dark side of his, but he is not focusing on the bright side of his. So that is the negative, low self-concept. So what is the root cause of low self-concept? The root cause of low self-concept, it may be in the childhood. It may be rooted in the childhood when you could not stand up to your parents' expectations. It could be that the person, individual with low self-esteem in childhood suffered from bullying in the school. So owing to this, he developed a poor self-concept. It could be that the person with low self-esteem was physically abused, sexually abused. So that could also be a cause of low self-concept. Now, how to, if this self-concept, if it interferes in your functionality, then how to cope with it? So, if it interferes with your functionality, then you have to take the help of a counselor or a therapist. There are various ways to improve it also. There are various ways. And this negative self-concept, I discussed the causes, what is it? And now, how this self-concept, what does it lead to? What are the consequences of this low self-concept, low self-esteem? The consequences of this low self-concept or low self-esteem are that the person becomes stressed and prone to anxiety, prone to depression, and relationships are hampered. Yes, relationships are hampered, and even the academic performance of the individual is hampered. So these are the consequences. And now we will come to high self-esteem. High self-esteem, on the contrary, yes, a person with low self-esteem, how to work on it? First of all, he has to practice priming. He has to stand in front of the mirror and he has to try to see his inner virtues, inner strengths, and he has to pass positive affirmations. I'm a wonderful creation of God. I'm a beautiful creation of God. I accept myself the way I am. So accepting yourself the way you are does not mean that you accept your flaws also. Accepting yourself as the way you are is you challenge your flaws and you accept your virtues. So that is one of the way. And then you seek the help of your friends. You ask them what good they see in you. Many a times people with low self-esteem, they're unable to see the good in themselves. So when they take the help of the friends, the family members, the teachers, the near and dear ones, maybe they're able to tell them what is good in them. That bright side is able to, they're able to bring it in front of them. So that is a way of improving your self-esteem, low self-esteem. Now, what is high self-esteem? High self-esteem, one loves himself or herself, values himself or herself, thinks that, yes, I can learn, I can grow, I can contribute to the society, I can do so much, and they appreciate their strengths and they take their weaknesses as challenges. That is high self-esteem. And then another is high self-esteem. Then another is competence-based self-esteem. Competence-based self-esteem is that the skills required to do a particular task. It could be your schoolwork. It could be your sports. It could be anything. It could be your academic performance. The skilled, how skilled you are to perform that particular task. That is competence-based self-esteem. The another is worthiness-based self-esteem. What do you judge your worth as? What do you see your worth as? How worthy you consider yourself as? That is worthiness-based self-esteem. So worthiness-based self-esteem also, priming is a very good method, which I mentioned, that stand in front of the mirror, pass positive affirmations. And then another thing is meditation. Meditation, what happens in meditation, you can counter the negative self-talk. Counter the negative self-talk which you make to yourself, that even before, prior to taking any work, you're thinking, will I be able to do it? What if I fail? So that meditation, it helps to bridge that, remove that the thing from you, and it helps to, you can counter that inner negative talk with a positive, yes, I can do everything. So it pacifies you, it calms you. And these are the 4 types of self-esteem. So then the scales to measure self-esteem. There are various scales to measure self-esteem. Rosenberg self-esteem questionnaire. There is this Cooper-Smith self-esteem inventory. Then there is this Pope's 5-scale 5-scale test for self-esteem for children. These are the various measures, various scales, questionnaires, inventories to measure the self-esteem. Now, what are some general concepts about self-esteem? There are various general concepts about self-esteem. A person with high self-esteem will always think of uplifting the other person, and a person with a low self-esteem will think of bringing down the other person. A person with high self-esteem will indulge in humanitarian works. He will be empathic towards all. He will be generous. He will be moderate, full with modesty and modesty. Yes, and a person with this high self-esteem, he will not think of taking revenge. There are various scriptures also which mention about self-esteem. Like in Sukhmani Sahib, it's written that a person with the highest self-esteem, very good self-esteem, will take friend and foe as equal. They will not desire anyone's ill. So they will believe in doing good and good and good, and have a very pure heart for everyone. That is a sign of a very high self-esteem. In Bible also, there is a very good example of self-esteem. Do not take revenge. Forgiveness, compassion, love them those who hate you, bless them those who curse you. Because if you only love those who love you and hate who hate you, what good have you done in the eyes of God? So these all, they are examples of some very high self-esteem. Because revenge, taking revenge and hating someone, they are characteristics of low self-esteem. A person who has a good self-esteem will be loving, compassionate towards all, as well as towards oneself. They will know the difference, that what is the difference between being your own friend, best friend, and your own best foe. They will know the difference between what is being the difference between your own best friend and your worst foe. So this is a person with a good self-esteem. And again, in Guru Granth Sahib, there is one more thing written, that always return good for bad. When you return good for bad, you are protected. Your body is protected. You are protected from all ailments, and everything good will happen in your life. So this is because when we practice these good things, what happens? We are protected from the stressors of life. So a person with good self-esteem will always indulge in humanitarian works, and will in doing good to all. With the power of goodness, you can win anything and everything in life. With this, I end my topic. Thank you many folds.
Thank you, Dr. Jyoti Makkar, for your insightful presentation. And we wish you all the success for your future endeavors.
Thank you, sir.
We will move on to our next session. Kindly fill up the feedback form for session 2. So this week and the previous week, we also had various commemorations regarding human trafficking, online and also offline. So let's look at few internet safety tips to protect yourself against human trafficking online. Human traffickers have become adept at using internet platforms, including social media channels, online marketplace sites, and freestanding web pages to recruit victims and attract clients. Traffickers either actively hunt those who they deem as vulnerable to falling victim to trafficking, or passively fish for potential victims by posting advertisements and waiting for potential victims to respond. So we can use here some tips to protect ourselves and our loved ones against human trafficking online. Set strict privacy settings. If your social media accounts are public, then anyone can see your photos, posts, and other information, which may be personal or private information, which you are updating on various social media websites and social networking websites. So traffickers have many times used this information to reach out and recruit victims. So consider setting your accounts to private or personal instead of public, and turn off location sharing on posts unless and until it is required. And also ensure that you are not sharing sensitive information on any social media website, or for the matter, any website where the system or the data can be compromised. And if any website is asking for you too much personal information, then be aware of any credential, confidential information like payment and other aspects. It's always good to be cautious on such sites where there is no mechanism to verify why the data is being asked for. And only accept, and we see, on social media websites or, on social networks, we often get friend requests, and we also keep sending friend requests. So unless and until you know them, or at least before accepting, find out, check their profile, and have a chat with them so that you know about them a little bit before adding them. So only accept friends or follow requests from people even if you have a common friends in common. Mostly what these online fake accounts and spammers and these people, they find first initially they send who are very much social network savvy, or who just want to build their profile with, you can see thousands and thousands of friends in their profile. They just are looking to build up their network, no matter whether they ever come into contact or them. So people use such techniques to just send friend requests and add to the profile so that they have huge number of followers and huge number of friends, so that other people who are seeing that, they come under impression that he is a very famous person, he or she is a famous person, and have a very, big contacts or big friend list. So similarly, they keep adding to such popular, persons on social media sites where, and they have a lot of common friends. So they keep recruiting more and more people into that. When we see a common friend, we are more likely to accept or chat with them. So this is a kind of strategy where, so even if you find some common friends, you ensure that that is a valid contact, and if possible, you can also check with the common friend if he or she really knows her or him or her. So only accept friend or follow requests from people even if you have friends in common. Traffickers have reached out to strangers to chat via social media and then slowly work to build trust with the potential victim. So beware of strange friend requests and don't overshare. Remember that everything you put online, photos, text, etc., is in the public domain. If say suppose someone comes to you and asks what is your likes and dislike, what you'd like to eat, what you would say? If he is an unknown person, or would you like to make an announcement in the public holding a mic in the busy streets or the crossroads that today I have prepared this, today I have, I like this, today I'm going to watch movie, today I'm going to go on for a date? Would you be happy, or would you be free to announce in a crowded market? You'd never do so. But even if someone acquaintance or someone who doesn't know, a stranger, comes to you and asks what's your plan or where you are going, what you'd say? Mind your own business. But on social media, this is what's happening, which is contradictory to offline. But unfortunately, people are not able to correlate. But you are announcing to billions and millions of social media users online daily by your posting various updates and sharing with them, so that everyone, now it is like in offline taking a mic or getting onto the broadcast media and announcing that I am doing this, I am doing that, I am on this holiday. So many times we have seen many thefts also occurred, as people often post family members that they are going on an outing or a holiday and they will not be for so and so days. So everyone knows about it, that there is no one in the house. So many thefts also happened, or someone leaving only old parents around in the house and there is no one. So we keep sharing, and this makes us vulnerable many times. And many times these people, thefts, robberies happen, and even killings, murders also happen, where there are vulnerable people and aged people who cannot protect themselves. They use these opportunities and attack families where they are alone. And sometimes every move is also announced on the social media, because that is somewhat people think it is trending. And that has also created a lot of problems. Even many times law enforcement agencies, authorities comes to colleges, schools and institutions, and they also conduct awareness sessions, like what to share, what not to share. Now that because it has become knowingly or unknowingly, we are putting everything on social media. Every move, even if though we implement or not, the moment we think or the moment we plan, we are putting it on social media. So likes, dislikes, interest, our disinterest, our hobbies, our hates, our dislikes, everything is we are sharing by writing, by sharing some quote or some pictures, and by sharing others' posts. So what we are doing actually, basically, we are expressing our inclination to our disinterest in certain topics. So don't overshare. Remember that everything you put online, which may be videos, photos, text, memes, etc., it is in the public domain. So you no longer have control once, how it has been seen or shared. Nowadays, you see a lot of videos, especially these comedy one and fun. They also edit videos. They just pull out one video, one word here and there and mix up. And, you see a lot of photos getting morphed. Using latest technology, we see, nude photos which are morphed with deep fake technology, and lot of other technologies are easily available where you can use others' photos and videos and easily, make them look real, and mixing with all sorts of things are happening. So we have to be very careful when we are sharing. And we have seen also now it is trending, because even this is used to defame or, but not only just politicians, but also people who are in good positions, or even it is also, we have seen cases where they are used even on ordinary people or employees and various other personalities as well. So it is becoming quite common, and people, with the advent of YouTube and other social media platforms, where everything, people can just Google it and get information. So that is a boon and also a curse to us, because unnecessary information, unwanted information is being available to another, people who are looking for opportunities to exploit people and engage in anti-social, illegal aspects. Now you can Google it and you can find, even everything is available on online. So from everything from, from all good things like gardening or education, do-it-yourself videos to, you can see how, various arms can be assembled, disassembled, and how they can manufacture, and, how you can use. And there are various videos also available on chemicals and other things, and also tutorials on how to edit photographs, videographs, and how to do all sort of things are also now available, and easily people are learning it through various online platforms, and this makes more vulnerable because of sharing photos and videos online, especially in public domain. And you no longer have control. Once you have posted, that's all. And now you don't know who will see it, who will use it, how they will use it, in what way they will use it. And finally, one day you will see, those morph photos, or especially women and girls are becoming more and more vulnerable. And we have seen a lot of cases also coming up, and those, they are afraid of getting shamed and privacy. They are used, exploited, they are blackmailed, and because they can't reveal in open, and they have either used their morphed photographs or videographs, and they blackmailed, and many times they exploited them physically, sexually, and also economically. And some of them also committed suicide because of the fear that they will be exposed. And it also happened in reality also. Many news channels also, in media also, we have seen. And there are various cases also being reported, and various movies also has come showing that facts. So we have to be very careful, especially, women and girls, because they are becoming more vulnerable for such types of crimes. And they are becoming vulnerable, once they start blackmailing and using all types of tactics, and they will force those girls and women, by blackmailing them, they will continue to exploit them sexually, and use as drug traffickers or prostitutes, or for various gains. So we have to be very careful, especially when we are engaging in such activities. So traffickers have used people's photos and personal details to help them blackmail, contact, groom, or otherwise recruit and monitor victims. So never share personal information such as your phone number, address, or live location online. And beware of advertisements that seem too good to be true. Often traffickers use catchy language in job advertisements online, promising high wages for simple work or a chance to become a model or an actor or an anchor or a DJ, and various other lucrative ads and pamphlets or advertisements. Traffickers will often be vague about companies' credentials, details, or your terms of employment. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. So beware of advertisements that seem too good to be true. Before engaging or verify all the credentials and flag it, don't share it. Stay vigilant in the online sphere and report suspicious pages or activities to the authorities. Don't hesitate to unfriend, block, or report someone who is harassing you or talking to you in a way that you don't like. Click on the links to see how to block accounts and help pages on various social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. There are various help pages, or you can directly report on whichever platform. There is always an option. There is some link or some kind of option where you can block the users, those who are bullying or those who are stalking, those who are, trying to communicate inappropriately. So learn it, how to block them. And if you have accepted them as a friends, and keep checking your friend list often. Certain times they build up fake profiles by taking such online posted photos. We also seen many times, people just randomly take some photo and others photo and create fake profiles and keep sending requests. And once they, after some time, after getting good responses or good number of circles, they keep changing back to fake profiles, and they keep doing all they keep doing all types of unwanted things. So make sure you also periodically check your friends list, so that if there is any changes that is happening with the list, and if you find any such profiles or names that has been changed, or pages, groups can be hacked, and they can keep sharing or using it for unwanted purposes, or which is not in an unacceptable manner. So if you find any such groups in which, or any other pages or any other friends in your friend list, which is, happen to be a fake account, and if you are following, then you keep observing, be vigilant, and try to unfollow or unsubscribe, or, or block them. So this is very, very much important to make sure that you are not in their list, and take screenshots of the messages or posts. They might be useful later for an investigation or law enforcement. And especially, and do not share, unless and until there is something really. Nowadays, it has become a common practice that even a friendly conversation and official conversations are being shared, without permission. But again, that is violating of confidentiality and privacy, because when you are sharing, especially suppose when you are communicating with your friend, it might be some confidential information, or it might be a personal communication between one-to-one person. So make sure you do not make such a practice. We see people just keep taking screenshots and sharing chat messages, chat conversation. So don't do that because it's also a violation of privacy. Because when it is not, when it is done in one-to-one conversation, unless and until you have any issue or concern about that conversation, you are not supposed to share. So even if you share like that, there are again, some legal obligations. So by revealing private chats to someone in the open public without the consent or without the information or consent of the other person, you may land into troubles. So even we have to be very careful whenever we are taking, or you may think that it's just it doesn't matter, but if the other person takes it very seriously and complains on that legally, then you can land up in a serious trouble. So always before using any product, and especially online or offline, you make sure you go through that various obligations or various terms and conditions and various laws pertaining to relate that. Not, you may not require the entire law to be mugged up, but at least know basic things like for you should not share anything like that which is personal communication. uh, so be careful. There are many such things happening, but because of a lot of information being coming out, we are not able to segregate and take only wanted information. So today is the age of information explosion. You'll keep receiving information and lots of unwanted wanted messages. Everything is part of it. You cannot stop literally unless and until you isolate yourself, or you set up some mechanism to block or filter such communication. So know the warning signs of trafficking. Being aware of warning signs of trafficking can also help you to identify when you or your loved one is at risk of being groomed or recruited online, and get help or raise the alarm. Many countries have free confidential resources and helplines for those who have been or at the risk of being trafficked. Many make sure you know the National Human Trafficking Hotline in your state or at central level. So this is not new to us, you know. Millions of men and women, especially children, are also victimized and exploited for labor and sexual purpose since quite long time. So hoping for a better future for themselves and their families, they are lured by false promises into a life of slavery and deprivation. And nowadays, in the name of, we have seen many cases where uh, people are being exploited as, generally small things. Now, people are looking for someone, where because of a lot of this unfriendly or uncommonly or, improper communication methods that are being used. So there are a lot of concerns, especially, and a lot of contacts that are being established with persons who are not known to us, and we are blindly believing in them and having conversation, sharing communication. So that also makes us more vulnerable. And now this sex trafficking is also a type of human trafficking and is a form of modern day slavery. It is also a serious health problem that negatively affects the well-being of the individuals, families, and communities. And human trafficking occurs when a trafficker exploits an individual with force, fraud, or coercion, or to make them perform commercial sex or work. So it is defined as sex trafficking is defined as the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provisioning, obtaining, patronizing, or soliciting of a person for the purpose of commercial sex act. It involves the use of force, fraud, or coercion to make an adult engage in commercial sex acts. However, any commercial sexual activity with a minor, even without force, fraud, or coercion, is considered trafficking. So, understanding the shared risk and protective factors for violence can help us to prevent trafficking from happening in the first place. So, victims can come from all backgrounds and become trapped in different locations and situations. And the type of violence exploits women, men, and children across the world. And the trafficking, victimization, and perpetration share risks and consequences associated with child abuse and neglect, intimate partner violence, sexual violence, and youth violence. And perpetrators of human trafficking often target people who are poor, vulnerable, living in an unsafe situation, or searching for a better life. Victims can come from all backgrounds and become trapped in different locations and situations. Many victims are often women and girls, though men and boys are also impacted. Victims include all races, ethnicities, sexual orientations, gender identities, citizens, non-citizens, and across all income levels. And victims are trapped and controlled through assault, threats, false promises, perceived sense of protection, isolation, shaming, and debt. Victims do not have to be physically transported between locations to be victimized. It can be also done online. The consequences of sex trafficking are similar to the consequences of sexual violence. Consequence can be immediate and also long-term, including physical and relationship problems, psychological concerns, and negative chronic health outcomes. And it is preventable. So efforts have been focusing on increasing community awareness of human trafficking and addressing exploitation after it occurs. Though more and more research is needed to evaluate such programs and policies, and that help reduce factors that put people to risk in order to help prevent trafficking before it occurs. Still, we see, even in India and abroad, there are many girls and women and also children, including both male and female. They go missing and they are never found. A few, unfortunately, they are able to locate, but many are, illegally trafficked and, transported to other countries as bonded slaves or sexual slaves, or into prostitution, even in country and abroad. So strategies based on the best available evidence exist to prevent related forms of violence, and they may also reduce sex trafficking. States and communities can implement and evaluate efforts that encourage healthy behaviors in relationships, foster safe homes and neighborhoods, identify and address vulnerabilities during healthcare visits, reduce demand for commercial sex, and business profits from trafficking-related transactions. So various activities like bonded slavery and human trafficking also leads to various kinds of issues and concerns and problems, not only to the individuals, but also to the families, nation at large. So with this, we shall conclude this session. So let's look at today's commemorations. Today is also Celebration of Life Day in US. Was originally instituted to celebrate the children in our lives. It has come to signify that all that good about being alive. So it's easy to forget sometimes we are all fortunate to be here alive. Take time to celebrate that good far outweighs the bad in this life. It all starts with gratitude and appreciation for where you are right now and wherever you hope your dreams take you. Every life is a precious individual and a huge gift, so that take a little extra time to celebrate it. Always be a good listener. When you talk, keep talking only, you will just keep talking whatever you know. But when you keep listening, when you become a good listener, you keep learning all the time. And life is a wonderful opportunity, and its wonderful ups and downs are celebrated on Life Day. And today is also Chinese New Year. Is one of the most important day. And the new year begins with the new moon appears, which typically occurs between January 21st and February 20. And Chinese Spring Festival is also celebrated. With the tradition of warding off bad luck, as it is in China, characterized by preparation of a wealth of delicious traditional Chinese diseases. And today is also Grandpa's Day. Yesterday we have commemorated Grandma's Day in Poland. So today is also Grandfather's Day. Yesterday was Grandmother's Day. Today is Grandfather's Day in Poland, dedicated to the wisest, humblest, jolliest man in our lives. Being a grandparent is a fun. The restrictions and strictness that come with parenting are relaxed. And after a certain age, a childlike wonder sets in, which is why grandparents and grandchildren bond so well. The values instilled in us by our grandparents shape us for the better, which is exactly why people in Poland feel so grateful towards their grandparents, that is grandfathers and grandmothers. And grandparenting is like a job sometimes, except that the rewards are bundles of joys in their lives. The grandchildren. Grandparents frequently watch after their grandchildren while their parents are at work. While most countries commemorate both grandfathers and grandparents on the same day, certain countries such as Poland have separate holidays for grandfathers and grandmothers. Grandparents are always there for us, whether it is to nurture us with love and good morals, to be our biggest supporters when it comes to pursuing our ambitions, or to persuade our mothers and fathers to be gentle with us. So, according to the Center for Economic analysis, after Greek grandparents, Polish grandparents are the second most dedicated grandparents in the European Union. They spend 9 hours a week on the average with their young grandkids, which is 3 hours more than grandparents in other nations. Grandmas and grandpas, as they are known in Polish as Babcia and Ziadek, are known for treating their grandchildren with lavish dinners and sweets. And today is also Korean New Year. And today is also National Sanctity of Human Life Day. The presidents of the US have been celebrated day regularly since 1973 against the ruling of Case versus Roe versus Wade, which legalized the right of abortion for a woman. Republican leaders since President Reagan have strongly opposed the law and have stressed the need to give the rights of life to every born and unborn individual. Because of this, January 22nd has been dedicated to celebrating National Sanctity of Human Life Day. In the historic case of Roe versus Wade, 1973, in which US Supreme Court ruled on January 22nd that it is the pregnant woman's right to determine whether she wants an abortion, the outcome of this case was the woman was legally allowed to go for abortion if she wanted. Since the outcome, many movements came into existence that openly opposed the ruling. The movement became stronger when US President Ronald Reagan proclaimed January 22 as National Sanctity of Human Life Day. In South Korea, today is also Seollal celebrations, which has cultural and traditional value, which goes on for 3 days. And this is a perfect time to eat traditional food, bond with family, have a few laughs, and paint the town red with amazing celebrations. So during Seollal, family visit each other, play folk games, and often hand out money to the kids. Filled with unique traditions and customs, this is a national holiday that one must experience no matter what nation they belong to. It's time to wear your handbox and welcome the new year with a bag. And Sonam Losar celebrations in Nepal starts with a bang of second new moon after winter solstice. The extravagant festival is celebrated in Nepal each year to mark the beginning of Tibetan New Year and are arranged weeks in advance for auspicious occasion. On the day, men and women had on colorful and traditional attires and danced to the traditional music created by the Damfu drum and costume tasty dishes of the region. The community, the word Losar means the new year or the beginning of new era for the Tamans. Here's a little more, about Tamang community is a group of individuals in Nepal who mainly live in the central highlands as well as around Kathmandu Valley. The community makes up about 8% of Nepal's population, is known for their unique traditions. The word Tamang itself means horse traders. Though the origins of the name are unclear, it is assumed that the people were connected with the business of horse trading or riding. Over time, the community members have also migrated to various regions across the world, including India and Burma. Today is also Tet in Vietnam, is also a Vietnamese Lunar New Year, annual celebration occurring on the first night of the new moon in the lunar calendar's first month. So that is today, all over the nation come together to welcome a new year. Through a 5-day holiday, the country promotes parades, festivals, and other festivities. It is time for families to say goodbye to their bad luck from previous year and hope for the better opportunities in the upcoming one. Tet originates from the Vietnamese phrase meaning festival of the first morning of the first day. Is considered the most important celebration in Vietnamese culture. So with this, we shall conclude the commemorations for the day. And thank you everyone for joining us. So kindly fill up the final feedback. Overall feedback form has been launched. Quickly, we request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form. And those who have not yet registered can register even now. Thank you everyone and all the speakers joining on this day. And we also thank all the participants for joining us for the sessions. So see you all tomorrow at 6 o'clock. As mentioned, there will be no further conferences on a regular basis on Sunday, but the regular sessions, webinars series will continue even on Sundays from 6 p.m. onwards daily. And as usual, on any special occasions, whenever there is a special celebration or commemoration, we'll be organizing special events, which will be updated on a timely basis on our social media platforms, in WhatsApp group, Telegram channel, Facebook group. So thank you everyone for joining us. Quickly fill up the feedback form, which has been shared. Mandatory for issue of certificate. You can download the certificate from the website. We'll be sharing you the website link also from where you can download. So see you all tomorrow at 6 p.m. with the same link with different topic. Take care. Good night.